You know, the word boundaries is everywhere these days, right? It's probably one of the most popular self-help terms out there. But let's be real, it's also one of the most misunderstood.
So let's just get right into it. Have you ever found yourself saying something like, "My boundary is that you can't do that"? Or maybe you've told someone, "Hey, you're crossing my boundaries." If that sounds familiar, well, you're not alone. You're basically using the word just like most of the internet does.
And I really want to be clear about this. That's not wrong. Seriously, there is zero shame in that. It's not like you're using it incorrectly. The word has just kind of drifted. And that's totally normal. It's just how language works.
So you might be wondering, okay, how did that even happen? Well, it's really a tale of two meanings. It's the story of how this idea of a personal action, well, it's sort of transformed into a public rule that we try to get other people to follow. And you can see the split right here. The original idea, the clinical concept, is that a boundary is an action you take to protect your own limits. But the way we often hear it used today, it's more like a rule you try to impose on other people. See how that completely flips the script? The focus shifts from what you'll do to what they must do.
So how did this happen? You could call it social entrainment, which is just a fancy way of saying we pick things up from our environment. I mean, think about it. You see these terms everywhere. Instagram therapists, relationship coaches, the comments sections. Oh, the comments sections. And we just kind of absorb it. The word itself just spread way faster than the subtle meaning behind it.
Okay, and this right here brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing. This is the big idea. The massive difference between control and self-protection. Nailing this distinction is why being precise with our language is so helpful. It's all about shifting from trying to manage other people to simply protecting yourself.
Because here's the deal. The moment a boundary becomes a rule for another person, it stops being a boundary. It starts being an attempt at control.
In this comparison makes it so clear. When you're trying to control someone else, what do you need? You need them to comply, right? You're demanding that they change. And let's be honest, where does that usually lead? Yeah, a whole lot of frustration. But protecting yourself, that's totally different. All it requires is your action. You're just stating what you are going to do. And that's where real empowerment comes from. And this is why getting this right matters so much. Real boundaries, the ones about your actions, are just way more effective. Why? Because they're actually easier to enforce. They're about things you can actually do. You're not demanding compliance from anyone else. You're just clearly and calmly stating your limits and what you're going to do to take care of yourself. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the why. Now let's shift gears and get super practical with the how. I want to give you a really simple, powerful tool to make this all a lot clearer. Let's call it the if-then shift.
The formula itself couldn't be simpler. It's just two steps. Step 1, if this specific thing happens. And step 2, then I will take this specific action. See them? The focus is 100% on you and what you will do.
All right, let's use a real-world example. So instead of saying, "My boundary is you can't yell at me," which, remember, is a rule for them, you make the shift. It becomes, "If you yell at me, then I will end the conversation." Can you just feel that difference? The power is completely back in your hands.
Let's do one more just to really make it stick. Instead of a rule like you have to stop being late all the time, it turns into, if you show up late without notice, then I'm going to start without you. And notice, this isn't a threat or a punishment. It's just a clear, simple, self-respecting action. Okay, time to make this real. Let's move on to your weekly checkpoint, because this whole series is about actually doing things, not just learning about them. This is where the information turns into transformation. So here's your task for the week. It's super simple, I promise. Just think of one boundary, and I'm using air quotes here, that you've tried to set before. Got one? Okay, now just rewrite it using that simple if-then format we just walked through. And as you're writing it out, I want you to pay attention to how that feels inside. Just notice that little shift, the one that moves from the stress of trying to control someone else to the calm of simply and powerfully protecting yourself. And remember what this is all about. No shame, just sharper language. This is not about beating yourself up for what you did before. It's about giving yourself an upgrade, a new tool for clarity and for self-respect. So that leaves us with the final question to carry with you this week. Who are you really trying to manage? You know, if you felt something kind of lighten up inside you during this explainer, try to stay connected to that feeling. Our next explainer dives into how to identify what's actually toxic so you can move on to that whenever you feel ready. And of course, if you want to go deeper and really strengthen these skills, Life Skills TTP has some amazing community resources and guides that are perfect for this kind of work.